Great. So welcome everyone. As you know, this is our monthly My Speaker Business community call. And all of you know that we've been running these, I don't know, quite a few years, 5, 6 years now. And every month we bring you, and Doug, you're one of our most loyal people to be here with us pretty regularly all through these years, which is amazing. And you know that a lot of us are excited speakers, and we love to be on stage. And we always learn, what do other amazing speakers do? How do they grow their speaking careers, their success, their business? And that's why once a month we get together here and we introduce you to a great speaker and expert in her field. And today we have an amazing lady here with us. She's really amazing. We met because we together, she was one of the leading editors on a book where I co-authored, where I'm a co-author as well, The Power of Why. And Wendy, I think already on the first night, right, we turned it into a bestseller all together, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And this is what we talk about today, because everyone knows that every speaker, most speakers at least, dream about publishing a book. And they say that, as you also say, Wendy, they say that everyone has a book inside of them. A lot of us have a lot of books inside of us. The struggle is bringing it from inside to the outside. And, one of the most challenging steps for a lot of people is actually to start writing it. And I know Doug and others are writing a book right now, including myself. And I know writing and publishing a book is a great way of getting more visible, reaching more people, making a bigger impact. And still, there's so many people that struggle to get going, to find it challenging to finish it and to really publish it, and that don't know once it's, how do I publish it to make it really a bestseller? So we will give you a lot of insights today, because we have an incredible lady with us today. As I said, her name is Wendy H Jones. Okay, the age is pretty important, right? Wendy H Jones.
Yes.
She's really an international best-selling, award-winning author of 5 book series, right? I mean, one of them being the Detective Inspector Shown and Mackenzie Mysteries, but also she published very successfully, her international best-selling Writing Matters series that include Marketing Matters and Motivation Matters. And she's the CEO of Authorpreneur Accelerator Academy, and which is an online membership helping writers become published authors. She also hosts the Writing and Marketing Show podcast. Wendy, you and I have been playing on that recently. That was fun. And she's the president of the Scottish Association of Writers. And when travel is permitted, again, she can be found speaking or writing on publishing at conferences all over the globe. So, Wendy, it's really amazing to have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So firstly, thank you very much for inviting me along to talk. It really is an honor. And it's good to be able to speak to people who understand public speaking as well, because that is, it's always a bonus speaking to other public speakers. I'm going to start with a bit of my author journey, really, because let's face it, none of us leap out of the womb fully formed and ready to do whatever career takes us. And most of us come to what we're doing now through a circuitous route. There's not many people who say, when they're 5 and start school, I want to be X, and they're still X when they're 50. Not now. We all do different careers. We have portfolio careers, as they say, and we make changes as we go along. So my journey, I was a fairly ordinary wee lassie fae Dundee, as they say around here. As you can tell, I'm Scottish. I am from Dundee in Scotland, but I have worked all over the world. I'm back in Dundee now, which is probably a good thing because we're all in lockdown. Like everybody else, I'm at home and I'm not doing much traveling. However, with the wonders of the internet, you can travel wherever you want, because I seem to be speaking to people in Dusseldorf and Michigan, and I'm not sure where else. So, and I know you're in Germany, Monique. So, we're all over the place. So when I left school, I'd always been a writer. I started writing fan fiction when fan fiction wasn't even a thing. I used to, if anybody's heard of Noddy, I used to write naughty fan fiction when I was about 7. I had my first typewriter when I was 7 years old. And then when I was 18, I gave up. Nobody could be a writer. They didn't tell you could be a writer when I was, at school. It was get a real job. Well, writing is a real job. I would like to tell you that. But a real job, I wanted to be a nurse. So I left home and went all the way to Portsmouth in England, and I joined the Royal Navy as a nurse. And I left with the rank of petty officer. I went into Civvy Street as to do a course in ophthalmic nursing, eye nursing, and thought, oh, I don't like the pay much here. I think I'll join up again. So I joined the army, where I stayed for another 17 years. And I left with the rank of major, which is the first rank that you keep till the day you die. So I am actually Major Wendy H Jones. But seriously, nobody's interested in the military rank at all, unless I do visits to schools and talk about writing, in which case they're frightfully impressed that I was a major, but they're not quite so impressed when I tell them I was actually a nurse and I didn't run around with a gun shooting at people. So, they're frightfully impressed with the fact I was a major, and the tax man loves it as well because it means he gets more money off me. But apart from that, nobody's at all interested. But I'm quite proud of the fact that I'm still a major, and I will keep it, and it will be on my funeral paperwork. Major Wendy H Jones. There you go. So before I left, I was working in academia. I was working as a lecturer, first of all, then a senior lecturer in the School of Nursing. And then I became the head of pre-registration nurse education for the Army, Navy and Air Force. And because of all this, the reason I'm telling you this is when you're working in academia, you're expected to publish. You probably know that yourself. You're expected to publish papers, you're expected to publish books. And I did all sorts of frightfully boring stuff that one would read because it was, it was textbook stuff, and you only read it if you had to pass an exam. And 2, if you read it now, it's not going to help you at all if you want to be a nurse, because it was so out of date, because it was about 380 years ago. But it did get me into the writing habit. I was very good at writing nonfiction. I was very good at putting articles together. I love words. I love words with a purple passion, which is, I'm sure you do as well, because to be a public speaker, you need to like words. You're not going to be a good public speaker if you're not interested in the words that you're saying. And you need to know how words go together, how words resonate with people emotionally, and what they can do. And I got very good at that in terms of academia, because if you use certain words, it's going to resonate with certain people, and that means that they will understand it better, and they will pass their exams. Which I'm not only pass their exams, it wasn't about passing exams, it was about being a better nurse. Because obviously, quite frankly, if you're lying in hospital, you want to know that the textbooks that your nurses are reading are actually correct, and that they read them and got value from them. Because you don't want to be lying there with somebody who's read textbooks that are a load of old tosh, as they say. And I hope you know what that means, because I'm talking internationally, and I forget that sometimes people internationally won't understand the colloquialisms that I'm using, but I'm sure you'll get the gist. So when I left the military, I went and worked in colleges and things. I was a manager. And then I became the deputy director of a university faculty that dealt with education. When I was in the military, they sent me off to do 2 master's degrees. I didn't realize I was doing 2 at once, but I was. So I have a master's degree in nursing and a master's degree in education. I also have a postgraduate diploma in research and a postgraduate diploma in teaching. I didn't know I was doing the postgraduate diploma in research either, but I was. So I was doing an awful lot all at once. I did, and this is part of my story, so it's why I'm telling you the next bit. I got halfway through a PhD in education, which was all to do with, teaching and, again, words. And I got very ill. I got very ill physically with my lungs, and it was so bad that I ended up registered disabled and moved back to Scotland. And I thought, oh, I'll live on my military pension and life will be good. But I learned 2 things. First of all, living on a military pension isn't quite the amount of money you would like to live on if you like swanning around the world like I do, because I'd gone all over the world throughout my career. I got to speak at conferences all over the world when I was in the military and when I was working at the university. And I discovered it's frightfully boring retiring when you're not even 50. So I thought, oh, well, I've always wanted to write a novel. I can write. Why don't I write a novel? And well, I did write a novel. Then that's when you discover that writing a novel is a whole different kettle of fish it's a whole different ballgame really to writing academic textbooks and articles. For a start, it needs to be interesting. Secondly, you don't want to stuff it full of facts, because who reads novels? Wave your hand around if you read novels. You're not allowed to just sit here and, trust me, you don't want your novel to sound like a university textbook, because you're not going to get very far with it. So I had to retrain myself really in a different type of writing. Luckily, I'm not one to shy away from a challenge, so I did that. But not only did I do it, I did it all in the month of November. And the reason I did it all in 1 month, the month of November, including writing the book, was because I did something called Nanowrimo. Now, for the uninitiated, Nanowrimo is National Novel Writers Month. And it's where you sign up to write to 50,000 words in the month of November. So it's NANOWRIMO, NaNoWriMo. And I thought I was just looking at what was happening on the website, but you had to sign in to do it. Turns out if you sign in, you are agreeing to do it. Now, I'm Scottish. I never back away from a challenge ever. We're frightfully feisty, especially in Dundee. I'm also frightfully stubborn because, whether you believe in it or not, I'm a Turian, that's my star sign, and I'm also the Chinese year of the ox. So I'm the most stubborn person on the planet. So I thought, oh, well, I'm going to do this. I am going to do this. I'm going to write a novel in the month of November. How difficult can it be? And I wrote a novel in the month of November. And that's when you discover that it's a bit more tricky than you think it is, because you then need to edit it because it's all very well writing it. And to be honest, writing something is as easy as picking up a piece of paper and a pen and writing. But editing it is a whole different thing, and you need to do it edited. Anyway, from there, I got the book edited, professionally edited as well, because nobody should edit their own work. No matter, even if you're an editor, which I am now, I'm an editor for people, you always have to get your own work edited, because nobody sees the flaws in their own work. Trust me. And you don't get it edited by your mother, your granny, your best friend, anybody like that, because trust me, they're not going to tell you that your book is a load of old rubbish. They're going to say it's the most wonderful thing they've ever read. Unless you're my relatives, of course, in which case they're as honest as they come and they tell you if it was a load of old rubbish. But that's neither here nor there. I got the book professionally edited, and I'm going to get onto publishing and things in a bit, so I won't go into that. But I got it professionally edited, and it was published, and it launched to great acclaim. Thankfully, it went very well. I launched at Waterstones with over 100 people at the launch, which is big. That's a lot of people at one book launch if you're an unknown author. And it sold extremely well on Amazon. It sold extremely well internationally, and it became a #1 bestseller and hit the top 1,000 in the whole Amazon store in the UK and the US. And it went, that's good for an unknown author. That is good, and it went extremely well. It hit #1 in numerous categories, including Scottish crime, because it was a novel. And I was then asked, one of the things that I do is I have a terrible habit of saying yes and then worrying about the aesthetics of it later. So if somebody says to me, which they did, I'm a publisher and I would like to, oh, by the way, I didn't tell you this bit, I self-published the book because some publishers turned it down. Then the series went so well, that one of the original publishers approached me at a conference and said, we made a big mistake. What would it take for us to buy you out? And I said, show me the color of your money. And they couldn't afford me. They couldn't afford to buy me out. So they said, have you got anything else in mind? And I said, yes, I do. I then subsequently pitched that to them, but that's another bit of the story. So I'll tell you that in a minute. But there was a publisher approached me and they said, would you like to write a young adult series? Have you got an idea for a young adult series? And I said, oh, yes, I do. They said, well, pitch it to us. Well, that usually means you've got a completed book and you're sending it into them. I didn't even have an idea. I just said, yes, I do. So I was 12 hours in the car on my own, driving home from the conference, and I thought, oh, I have to come up with a series. So I came up with an entire series, the first 3 books in a series, the Ferguson Flora Mysteries for young adults. It was going to be this, going to be that, and going to be the other. And I thought, oh, well, I'll pitch it to them, and that'll be the end of it anyway, because the first publisher you pitch anything to never takes them, and it takes about 6 months for anything to happen. And I thought, okay, so that was on the Sunday. On the Monday, I pitched it to them first thing in the morning. I got a response an hour later saying, we're interested, let's keep talking, which is business speak, it's publisher speak for, yeah, we'll think about it, we're not entirely sure. Or so I thought. On Thursday, they sent me a 3-book contract for the Ferguson Flora Mysteries, which came as a bit of a shock to me because I wasn't actually sure I wanted a publisher at all. But I thought, well, I've pitched it, so I need to give them a chance, really. So I read the contract, got some of the things changed. It was an exceptional contract, got some things changed, and signed the book for the 3-book series. In the meantime, the original series that I was asked about to write, to pitch to another publisher, I pitched it to them and then they went bust. So I brought it out myself. Then they rose like a phoenix from the ashes and reinvented themselves as an outstanding publisher, still with the same name and everything. They just managed to come back from the brink of bankruptcy. And they said, oh, could you send that book again? And I went, too late, it's published. So I was asked to write some. By this point, I was doing international public speaking. I was speaking about writing, about publishing all over the world. And people were saying to me, and this is important for your story, really, people were saying to me, oh, have you got a book on what you're talking about? And I was like, yes. Remember what I said? Yes. I say yes to everything. And then they said, oh, well, bring it with you. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've got like 3 months or 2 months or something to publish a book on marketing. I can do that. So I published a book on marketing. And it came out as Power Pack Book Marketing, but has been rebranded because I rebranded my Writing Matters series into Writing Matters, and it became Marketing Matters. And then I was doing talks on motivation because I'm NLP trained. And for those of you that don't know, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. And I'm an NLP practitioner, master practitioner and trainer. I did that while I was working in education. So people were saying, oh, you're talking about motivation. Have you got a book on it? Bring your book with you. And I thought, oh dear. And I was about to go on a cruise and I thought that's a perfect time to write a book while you're on a cruise swanning around the Caribbean. You know, you can do it in Dundee, you can do it in the Caribbean. What the heck? I'll write a book while I'm on the cruise. So my friend who'd actually paid for the cruise as part of her business. So I was on a free cruise writing a book. It was marvelous. I managed to write the book in the 3 weeks I was gone. While I was, it was a tough life because I was swanning around in Miami, I was swanning around in Key West, channeling my inner Ernest Hemingway because I'd gone to his house there, and perfect time to motivate yourself. So I wrote an entire book called Motivation Matters. Then I got them edited and everything and brought them out. And both of them went straight to international bestseller status. And the people, they're getting 5-star reviews, people seem to love them. And one of them is just about motivating you to write every day. The other one is about how to market your book. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, I don't actually have a book out, so I don't need a marketing book. Wrong. The best time to start marketing your book is now. The best time to start writing your book is now. Even if you're already writing it, the best time to finish your book is now. The best time is always now. Say yes, tell yourself yes, because one of the things I learned with NLP is your brain will tell you exactly what your brain will believe exactly what you tell it to believe. If you tell it you're a writer, it will go, hey, I'm a writer. If you tell it you can't write, it will say, I can't write. Everybody can write. It's just what they're telling their brain they can or cannot do. So there's no reason why you can't write a book. I've got a friend, a young friend, he's 14 now, but when he was 10, he wrote an entire book called I Can Write, E-Y-E, I Can Write. He cannot communicate at all, is in a wheelchair, has to have everything done, is fed by a tube, and he wrote the book by using eye movement to tell his mother what words he wanted to write. Now, nobody told him he couldn't read or write. His mother read classics to him when he was a baby. And this lad, when he starts to communicate with his eyes, has an IQ off the scale. the foreword to his book is written by Michael Morpurgo, you know him of, what did he write? The book about the Warhorse book, yeah? This lad's phenomenal. Anybody can write. Anybody can write. You just need to do it. You just need to tell your brain you can do it. And your brain, hey, presto, will do it. I have another young friend. She's 17 now, but when she was 12, she wrote a book. Now she's only written it for herself and for me to look at. She's got developmental delay. She's functioning at about an 8-year-old level still. And she wrote a book. Everybody can write a book. Excuse me, I'm just going to get a tissue. Sorry about that. It's frightfully cold in Scotland, and when it's cold, I get a runny nose. So your brain will believe whatever you tell it to believe. And this is what my Motivation Matters book is about. It's based on NLP, and it's exercises to help you develop your writing. But the best place to, the best time to start marketing your book is now. I started marketing mine the day before it, the day before I wrote the first word. Hello, Doug is saying it's 26 degrees in Michigan. You're trying to make me jealous, Doug. It's about minus 26 here. No, it's minus 2. Anyway, I started marketing my book the day before I wrote the first word. I put a blog out and I said, I'm going to write a book. And everybody in the comments were going, that's marvelous. Where can I buy it? And what I felt like saying was, did you actually read the blog? Because I didn't say there's a book out and available to buy, but I didn't, because you're always flying. And that's the first marketing tip I'm going to give you, because even if you're just thinking about writing a book, now's the time to tell people that you're doing it, because you're accountable then and you will do it. And always be polite in the comments. That's my first marketing tip to you. Never argue with anybody. You can delete the comment if they're being rude, but never argue with anyone. So if you don't say, did you actually read the blog? You say, oh, thank you for your input. I'll let you know. The minute it's out, you'll be the first person to know. And then they think, oh, I'm special because she's going to tell me her book's coming out, you know. So be nice, be pleasant, be friendly, network, treat everybody well, and your book will be successful when it comes out. So just to quickly go on with my journey, fast forward to 5 series, including a children's picture book series, which also has called Bertie the Buffalo, which also has a soft toy and a colouring book to go with it. That's with a traditional publisher. Bertie the Buffalo took me all the way to Nashville to do a talk at an international conference and do a book signing with my Bertie the Buffalo books. And here's another tip. If you're Scottish, or no matter where you're from, play on where you're from. So I went to America and went on a 10-week book tour. And while I was doing it, I wore Highland dress. And with an accent like mine, and with my clan tartan sash and clan brooch on, I could not go wrong. Seriously, I just needed to open my mouth and say hello, and people bought my books. So utilize whatever you've got when it comes to selling books. Not to sell books, but you will sell them automatically because you're doing it in a natural way. And you're probably thinking, why should you tell me about marketing? I've not got that far yet. Marketing is key right from the very beginning, and utilize what you've got. You will all have skills. You will all have knowledge. You will all have backgrounds that you can bring to your writing and marketing and book selling process, that you can bring to your reader that will bring them value. Use it. That's what I do. I'm not trying to sell people books. I'm trying to put a book before them that they will enjoy and will bring them value. I'm helping readers, and I'm helping fellow writers, and I'm helping fellow entrepreneurs. Because I am an entrepreneur. I am what you would call now an authorpreneur. And an authorpreneur is just an entrepreneur who happens to be an author. And it's a lovely name. And the Alliance of Independent Authors, as far as I know, came up with it. And I'm part of their top group, which is called the Authorpreneur group for the Alliance of Independent Authors. And if you are writing a book, I would advise you to join this organization. It's international and it's an outstanding organization, and they will help you every step of the way. But I also help people every step of the way because I believe in giving value. I believe in helping others. I believe in paying it forward. So I run a writing and coaching a writing and marketing coaching business. I do one-to-one with clients. I'm also an editor. I will edit for people in different ways. But more importantly, I run the Authorpreneur Accelerator Academy. And the reason I do that is so that I can help more people. It's a membership, and people get courses because I run courses. Oh, by the way, I was an early adopter. I was in right at the beginning of the computer revolution. The first computer I ever used, I was age 12. It took up an entire room, and you punched holes in the card and you pushed it in a huge machine I've never seen the size of since. But my school was very forward thinking. We are in Scotland, we believe in technology 100%. One of the top courses for games development, in fact, the top course for games development in the world is in Dundee. We love technology. We're real technology people. So I love doing online courses. I was in at the beginning of the online course revolution. I was doing online courses when I was in the military, when people weren't really doing them. I was developing them. So I develop courses, and I do the Authorpreneur Academy, where people can actually get access to these courses, and they get, at the moment it's live, they get live group calls, and they get live seminars and webinars. That might not be quite so live if I'm on a plane when we get to travel again, but they do get, so I believe in helping other people in the way I can, and that's a way of doing it. Now, the reason I've said all this is because we're all pivoting, we're all changing, and we need to leverage what we've got. I don't know what business you're in, but I can absolutely tell you that you can do a similar thing with whatever business you're in. And I would advise you and encourage you to write a book if you haven't already. If you have already written a book, I would advise and encourage you to write more. The reason for that is, as an entrepreneur, having a book gives you the stamp of individual approval. Yeah, it gives you the stamp of the fact that you know what you're talking about. The minute it's in writing, people go, oh yes, you know what you're talking about. It also gives you another string to your bow, because if you do go along and do a talk, then you're able to sell them books afterwards. You're able to do a book signing. So it helps your economy. It helps you earn more. So I'm going to talk about writing, which was what I was doing, but I've been telling you about my journey because it's all tied up with writing, because you will have been writing throughout your entire journey, whether you know it or not. Yeah, you will have done that. And you will have done it because you're always writing things. You've been writing since you started at the age of 5 or whatever time you start school in your country. I don't know when you start. So you'll have been doing that. And so you can all write, whether your brain's telling you to or not. We can all write. And all you need to do to start writing is pick up a piece of paper and start writing. And the reason I was telling you about my journey is because I've been doing that all my life, you know, and my whole journey was what brought me to getting to international bestseller status. Because along the way, you meet people and you have experiences that you can bring to your writing journey. Now, writing a book is both easy and complex. It's easy because in order to write a book, the first thing you need is an idea. That's it. That's all you need. You need an idea. And each one of you, if I asked you what you were passionate about, talking about, you would suddenly open up. All you're doing is writing that down, because you can tell your story. You can tell the industry you're in. You know it inside out. I don't, but you do. So you're telling your story. So you can, if you prefer to speak it, it's really easy to speak it, because you can speak it into software that suddenly it magically appears in print on your page in Word. And that's amazing. So you get started as a writer by having an idea. That's your first starting point. Then you move on to that. Once you've got your book written, and I would advise you don't get hung up on the words, don't get hung up on the pages, just write your story, then edit it and edit it again, and look at it dispassionately, print it out and look at it again. because you will look at it differently from the screen and the printed page. You see things differently. Edit it, polish it, and then send it to a professional editor who will then usually edit it twice, because they will edit it, you will make changes, and they will edit it again. And you can then either bring the book out yourself. So you can bring the book out yourself by self-publishing. Anyone can self-publish. It is a very easy thing to do. You can do it through Amazon KDP, Amazon KDP Print, and Ingramspark. If you do it through all of those, and you also put your ebook up on Draft 2 Digital, that's DRAFT number 2 Digital, then your book will be out in the ether, and anybody can walk into any bookshop in the world and say, can I buy X book by whatever your name is? I'm going to steal somebody's name from Dania. I hope you don't mind me picking on you. Is it? I hope I've said it right. Is it Dania Bauer? Or?
Perfect. No,
right, Dania. So
Dania is correct.
Dania, I can walk into any bookstore in the world when I'm on my book travels, doing book signings, and I can say, I'd like to buy a book by Dania Bauer, and they'd go, absolutely, it will be here in 48 hours. And the book will magically appear in the store, and I will buy it. That's because you can do it through something called not Draft 2 Digital, sorry, something called Ingramspark, a company called Ingramspark. And I have a lot to do with Ingramspark. A friend of mine set it up, and I love Ingramspark. I know a lot of the people who work there, and I have a great deal of time for them. I've spoken at their conferences 2 or 3 times, and they're an excellent company. You can't get away without putting it on Amazon these days, because most people, when they think about books, a lot of them will think about Amazon, and you can use Amazon KDP, which is what gets your ebook up there, and KDP Print. So it's very easy to get your book from the you writing your first word to you actually publishing your book, whatever way you do it. If you want a traditional publisher, it may take a bit longer, because what you're going to have to do is pitch to them. And you might pitch to a publisher and hear nothing for 3 months, and then they'll go, no, we're not interested. And that's the way the industry goes. It's a slow industry. I'm not putting you off doing it. I'm just saying that's the way it works. And you need to decide which way around you want to do it, whether you want traditional publishing or independently publishing. If you I'm both, so I know the industry inside out. And what they want to know is what your platform is. If you are pitching to a traditional publisher, they'll go, what's your platform? And your platform, as I'm sure you all know, because you're all professionals, is how many followers you've got on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, how many people have you got on your email list, and everything like that. Hence the reason you start marketing your book the day before you write the first word. Or if you've already written the first 1,000 words, today. If you've already written 20,000 words, today. You start marketing today. Now is always the best time to start marketing your book. And when is the best time to finish it? Never. It never ends. I'm sorry, but it never ends. And people go, oh, that's why I want a traditional publishing contract. They'll do all the marketing for me. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, guys, but unless your name is J.K. Rowling or James Patterson or somebody equally as big, you're not going to get much marketing off a traditional publisher. They will expect you now to put a marketing plan in when you submit the book to them. When you submit, well, not even when you submit the book, when you pitch them, they will expect to have a marketing plan attached to that pitch, because you need to tell them, I'm going to sell X number of books because I have X number of followers. If you've got 50,000 people on your email list and you're already a really famous public speaker, and you're related to, I don't know who, I'm trying to think of somebody famous, but I can't think of anybody famous right now. My mind's gone blank. But if you happen to be related to them, the person that won gold at the Olympics and the Olympics had just finished, trust me, the likelihood of you getting a publishing contract is quite high. But there are a lot of people pitch to publishers and it often doesn't pan out. So doing it your own way is a very acceptable way, as long as you do it professionally. Now, one of the things you should do is set up your own publishing company. Now, that doesn't mean, all it means is find a name. My publishing company is called Scott & Lawson, And I Googled it and nobody had it. The reason it's called Scott and Lawson is because my cousin's name is Scott and my mother's maiden name was Lawson. There you go. It's as easy as that. It's not difficult to get it, but Scott and Lawson sounds suitably Scottish, so it suits my company. What you don't do under any circumstances is, and I'm gonna pick on Monique this time, yeah, because I don't want anybody else to think anything of Monique. If what you don't do under any circumstances is set yourself up as Monique Blockzill Publishers, because you're just telling the entire world, I've self-published my book, yeah? Nobody cares about publishers, nobody, yeah? But the minute you slap your own name as the publisher, they go, that's self-published, I'm not buying that. But if it's any other publisher name, their brain will sweep right over it. NLP again. Now, I'm often asked it when I'm doing talks, who is your publisher? And I then go, well, I will tell you in a moment. And but can I ask, who was the publisher of the last 3 books you read? And they go, I don't know. I don't look at the publisher. I said, oh, that's a really good answer. My publisher is Scott and Lawson, and they go, oh, okay then. You know what I mean? They don't know that it's me. They don't know at all. But they will if they see your own name slapped on it. So that's a tip from getting to bestseller. Never use your own name for the publishing company. But you can use your own industry to move forward. You can use your industry to get yourself into writing, because let's face it, you know it inside out. And if you write a non-fiction book for the people in your industry, you're on a winner already, because you can pitch it to the people who are in your industry and you know them. That's who you're networking with. Hence the reason my non-fiction books are for writers, because I know writers. I know the publishing industry. I know how to help writers and publishers. So why not? I'm going to be doing books to help people who want to become writing coaches, who want to set up courses, because I know that industry inside out. So why not use it? Why make it difficult for yourself? Unless you have a passion for something else. I'm going to drag somebody else's name out of the ether here as well. Paolo, I don't know you from Adam, but you know, if you happen to be passionate about synchronized swimming, yeah, then why not write a book on synchronized swimming? Because you'll know everybody in that industry already. Sorry, hey, you might pipe up and go, well, actually, how did you know that? Are you stalking me? I didn't, it's a guess. You look like a synchronized swimmer, Paolo. So if there's something that you already know, use it, because you've got the industry contacts, you've got the contacts in that area, so you can actually utilize it to get to bestseller status, because people are more likely to buy it. Once you've got several books out, you get things called people called super fans. Super fans are the people that will buy anything you write. You could write an article on writing the back of a, cornflakes packet, and they'd read it, because they're super fans. They're waiting for your next thing to come out. Super fans are gold dust. I have several super fans. I have numerous super fans, and that's brilliant, because they're going to buy your book. It helps book sales. And do you know what my number 1 tip is for actually selling more books? Write more books. Keep marketing, but write more books. Because if you're an industry expert, and I really am going to pick on somebody here and ask them what their industry is. Dania, do you mind if I ask you what your industry is?
Yes. I am a singer, a moderator, and a speaker, and I like being on stage. And my topic is speak like music. So music offers you lots of emotion, and that's what you can weave in your public speaking. So I teach people, entrepreneurs and executives, to speak as heart-touching and impactful like music.
Brilliant. I can already think of a series that you can have. Your first one could be successful public speaking for musicians. Your next one could be how to put your story, writing your story for speaking on stage. Your third one could be how to calm your nerves when you're doing public speaking. Yeah, how to use music theory to make yourself a better public speaker. The titles are rubbish. Don't use the titles. But there you go. You've got 4 books already you can write, yeah? With better titles. That's how you do it.
Danya, there's many more I can think of, right?
Absolutely, there are millions, but I'm speaking to an entire group.
And everything else.
My German teacher always told me, Mrs. Bauer, don't write, just speak. But now I use NLP, okay?
Yeah, your German teacher shouldn't have told you that. Your drama teacher or your teacher should never have told you that, because seriously, that's a good point. Teachers put people off writing for life because they tell people they can't write. That's not like true. Singing. They just can't write the way the teacher wants them to write. And
Wendy, you know what? I once read a book which was called "When You Can Speak, You Can Write."
Absolutely. We need to write that book. We need to write that book.
It's already written.
There are a lot of different ways that you can actually utilize what you already know. And people will buy those books. They'll go, oh yeah, I really like that book that Danya brought out. And oh, she's brought another one out that's going to help me with my public speaking. I'll buy that one. Oh my goodness, she's got a 3rd one. By that point, people go, Danya's the go-to girl. You're the go-to girl, Danya. There you go. With your series of books. I'm sure you'll all be go-to in your series as well. So reaching bestseller status is simple and it's complex. Everything's simple and it's complex. I've given you all the tips you need already. Then when you launch your first book, you let everybody know it's coming out. You get all your friends and your fans and your email list poised to buy that book on the day it comes out. And before you know where you are, you'll get that little sticker that says #1 bestseller on Amazon. And if you're really fortunate, you'll have friends all over the world like I do. People will be buying them all over the world, and you will get international bestseller status because it will go to #1 in the UK, the US, Canada, and Australia and various other Amazons. The reason I mentioned them as opposed to other Amazons is because they're the ones you're most likely to get to #1 in, because they're English speaking and that's the way it is. It's more difficult to get to #1 in other countries. A lot of that is to do with people not using Amazon quite so much in other countries. So I hope that's helped you. I will finish here because I could talk for Scotland, as they say. I could talk for another 2 hours, but you're busy people. And I'm sure you've got questions. If you don't have questions, then hey, it's going to be a very quiet 15 minutes. If you do have questions, I'm happy to answer them on anything.
Wendy, I'm sure it's not going to be a quiet 15 minutes. Thank you for for this introduction. I love your story. Every time we speak and every time you're on stage together, I learn so much more about you. And there's already a first question from Danya asking how many pages should a book have, and I know Georgia is thinking about publishing her first book, so I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So guys, yes, don't hold back. The best would be just put your questions into the chat, or you can also unmute yourself, but if you put it into the chat, we make sure that you definitely get your answer. Good. So how many pages should a book have? Wendy, that's a conversation you and I had recently, right?
How many pages should a book have? Well, that's a piece of string, really. How long is a piece of string? A book should be as long as it should be. Now, when you're writing novels, they actually have industry standards. So they say that, a crime novel should have 75,000 words. Well, firstly, that's because it makes it look nice when it's sat on a bookshelf in a bookstore, and it makes it have a nice big title on the spine. It's also an old industry standard because people's reading tolerance is getting shorter. They want shorter books because people have less time. Even with lockdown, people have less time. So things are getting shorter. So a book should be as long as it should be. Now, if you're writing a book that's for the industry and you want a paperback, I wouldn't have it less than about 120 to 150 pages. More if you want, but not less than that. The reason for that is it really is difficult to get the name on the spine. And you do need the name on the spine, even if they're buying it from Amazon, you need the name on the spine. So you need a bit of space to do that and to make it a book. Also, if people buy a book, especially on Amazon where they haven't seen it in advance, and then it arrives and it's extremely thin, they feel hard done by. They feel as if they're not getting value for their money. So I would say at least 120 to 150 pages for a non-fiction book. Yeah, if you're only selling an ebook, then as long as you want it to be, yeah, it could be 50 pages. It's up to you. But it should be as long as it should be. Don't pad it, because what a lot of people do, and a lot of big authors do this, because they want to get to the 75,000 words, they'll pad it out with fact. And most people it's fine if you're doing it for a non-fiction book and the fact's relevant, but if you're just padding it out to get it to a certain length, then people can tell, they'll tell, and you'll start repeating yourself. Oh, I've got another question. This is from Douglas. Hey, Douglas. My original title is Adversities Wear Many Faces. Is this too negative for a title? No, I don't think it is, because it depends who your titles can't be too negative. It depends on who you're pitching it at. If you're pitching it at people that you want to, if it's about facing adversity and not knowing what your adversities are, then no, it's not a negative title. If it's about overcoming diversity, then it may be too negative a title, because people are not wanting to know that they're going to have more diversities. They want to know they can get out the one they're in. Has that helped, Douglas? Has that answered your question?
Yes, Monique knows I speak on suicide prevention and awareness as a 2-time survivor. So my whole life has been adversities that led up to 2 attempts 21 years ago.
Right, okay. So if you're talking on that, then Adversities Wear Many Faces is an extremely brilliant title, I think. It's a very good title. And the thing is, titles change. I've even changed my titles of my nonfiction books since they came out. So, titles change. So but only if you're doing it yourself. The title won't change if you've got a traditional publisher. If you're doing it yourself and you find that title's not working, change it. It doesn't cost anything to change it.
And Wendy, I think it's also a good idea, just for Doug, it's also a good idea if you have some people in mind that you would love, that represent the ideal reader of your book. You can always just ask them and say, hey, I think about writing a book about adversities wear many faces. Would you buy that book? And if you hear that title, what do you expect to get, right? So again, you can even kind of do a little bit of testing up front.
You can do some market research. I don't do market research on my titles. I just come up with brilliant titles, or I think they're brilliant.
You just publish them, and now you're an established writer, and everyone wants to write.
I just launch them on an unsuspecting world. But yes, ask people in the industry. It's a very good point. Would they buy it with that title? So thank you for that, Monique. How do you set?
And Georgia is saying, how to set a price of a book? What's important for taking this decision?
You set the price of a book depending on how many pages it's got, and depending on which country you're selling it in, because books sell at different prices in different countries. Now, in America, people sell books like my Marketing Matter and Motivation Market books for about $19.99. Mine sell for £8.99 in Britain, and we're talking US dollars here, which is about $11.99 in the United States. We would not pay that for a book in Britain. So it depends which country you're selling it in, because they will not, different countries have different pricing points. And how you can work it out is when you put your book up on Amazon and you put your book up on Ingramspark, they'll advise you how much it's going to cost you to print the book and sell it to someone, and just work it out from there. And look at what they're selling for already. If you look on Amazon, you look on Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, what are the books like that selling for already? And then you know what to set your price at. Look at the number ones on Amazon. If they're selling for $49, sell it for $49. If they're selling for $8.99, sell it for $8.99, because you need to know what the industry will sustain. I would write my book in my native language, which is German. What do you recommend according to translating the book into English? Right, it's a very good question, Danya. And translation is a whole different ballgame. You can't just translate your own book into a different language, even if you speak that language fluently. I've got friends who have both English and German parents and were brought up speaking both languages, but wrote their book in English and hired professional translators to get it translated. To get the nuances of the book, it's usually advised that you hire a professional translator, and that's where the money goes shooting right up of how much it's going to cost you to publish this book. It can cost, it's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to get a professional translator. A lot of money. I asked a friend of mine who's fluent in both English and Dutch how they could translate my Bertie the Buffalo book into Dutch, just out of curiosity. I wasn't asking her to do it. And she said, I would struggle with this. You need a professional translator. And she was brought up in Holland, you know, so you get a professional translator is the answer to that one.
What do you think about ghostwriting is another one from Danya.
All right, Danya, ghostwriting. Ghostwriting is up to you. Or if people will ghostwrite. I have half ghostwritten a couple of books, but not really. I haven't ghostwritten a book from start to finish. In order to ghostwrite a book, what it means for everybody else basically is that, say I was the ghostwriter, I would write the book, but Danya's name would be on it. Yeah, and it would say nowhere that I was the ghostwriter. Ghostwriters will charge a lot of money because it can take up to 6 months to write that book for you, because they need to have numerous meetings with you. They need to make sure you're happy with the way it's going. They need to make sure it's in a voice that you would write in. They need to sure it's demonstrate that it's reflecting you and who you are. And it can take several months and can cost a lot of money. Yes, ghostwriting is a good thing. If you don't want to write your own book, you can do it. It will have your name on it. I would recommend it, but be prepared to spend a lot of money. But the other thing I will say about that is, remember, nobody knows your story better than you. Yeah, has that answered your question?
Now we have a cool question from Paola. I mean, you can't start writing early enough, right? So her 10-year-old is writing a book. He also plans to do his own illustrations. How do you need to approach this when doing self-publishing? Do you have to work with a graphic designer for the book layout, for example?
There are ways of doing it. There are programs that will help you. Now, I am going to pitch a book to you here and tell you to buy a book. It's not mine. And the reason I'm telling you to do this is because a very good friend of mine, Karen Ingalls, which is I-N-G-L-I-S, Karen is K-A-R-E-N, has brought a book out, and it's about how to write and publish your children's book. And she is the Alliance of Independent Authors children's book advisor. And she knows a lot more about it than me, because my picture books, my children's books, are done through a traditional publisher. And that is not a question I can answer. And one of the things that I will never do is pretend I'm an expert in an area I'm not an expert in and lead you down the wrong route. So I would advise you to get Karen's book and email her if necessary. You'll find her through her website.
Yeah, and again, I don't know exactly what book that is, Paola, if you want to say anything about that, but you know.
Yeah, he just decided that he wanted to write a book, and then he started to write a book about it's some magical story about a kid in school, but he didn't want to say more about that. He's written 2 pages, and then he leaves the space and says, and this is where my drawing goes, because he's also very good at drawing, so he wants to draw. So I'm a bit, what? You're doing it before me?
I'm happy that he has you as a mom, because when I was a kid, I wrote a book and I read it out in school, but I never published it. So now you're going to help him to publish it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's very nice, the attitude that I think that's what we should learn more from children, is that he said, yeah, well, you know, I'm going to let the person who's going to publish this, so he knows, like, he's like, it's going to get published. The person who's going to publish it to, you know, decide where to put this or this. But yeah, because I want to make sure that they have it. So
yeah,
good luck. We all cheer him on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Karen's book will take you through every step.
Yeah,
Very
that's
good.
great.
You can get it on Amazon.
Okay, so Wendy, as you take your well-deserved zip, Denise has a question. Do you have writing rituals? Do you write your books in a similar way, like spurring the same hours of the day kind of things? Yeah, and some suggestion. I know, yeah, you have a lot to say about that one. I'm
Denise,
sure.
thank you for the question. Yes and no. I would like to think I have writing rituals, and I will write. I'm in any place, anywhere, any time, any place, anywhere girl in a literary sense. I can literally write anywhere. I write in airports, I write in planes, which is a good thing because when I'm not in COVID lockdown, I'm traveling around the world. So it's a good job that I can write on planes and things. Even if I'm in standard class, I can still write on a plane because I just shut everything out. So, and you would think that when you're in lockdown, it would be easier because you think, oh, you've got all this time to write, except instead of flying around on planes, you're on Zoom. So I tend to write earlier in the morning, but I can write all day, every day if I want to. If I get a clear day, I can write all day, every day and not take any time out. So I've not got rituals, but I do tend to either write in my office or write in my sitting room at the moment because it's marginally warmer than my office. Or I write my laptop anywhere, in a cafe, wherever. So I haven't really got rituals, but I do write every day.
Great, another one from Georgia. Her aunt, her mother's sister, is an editor. Based on what you said earlier, do you advise me to avoid a collaboration with her on my book because she's family?
Oh no, if your aunt is a professional editor, heavens, snap her hand up, snap her hand off, grab her by the, say, yes, could you, no, collaborate in those circumstances for professional editors. That's a different thing altogether, yeah, because they will do it with the professional editor's hat on. So yeah, really, they'll either do it for free or they'll give you a very good deal. So yeah, go for it.
Absolutely agree on that. Daniel's asking, can you recommend any book production software? Is this done by the printing company?
Right. What I think you mean is a book formatting software. Yes, I can. The best book formatting software out there, but unfortunately you can only use it if you're on a Mac, is vellum.pub, vellum.pub, P-U-B. It's outstanding. It will cost you about $270. It didn't cost me that much because I got in on the ground floor and got it when they just set out. So I got a really good price. And it's the best piece of software I've got. That's for formatting it. There are free versions on Ingramspark and free versions on a site called Reedsy, R-E-E-D-S-Y. I haven't used those. I'm told they're equally as good, but Vellum is outstanding. I upload my Word document up to Vellum, and lo and behold, it appears as a formatted book. I don't even have to format it in Word or anything. It has saved me so much time. And then you just download the files download the files. You do things like add your acknowledgements, your copyright page and everything. Your contents are there. Your contents will just appear. It's magical. It's absolutely magical. Your contents page will be there, but then you download the files for Amazon print, Amazon ebook, Kobo ebook, Apple Books, Nook, and a generic EPUB, and your print book files. It's magical. And then you just upload them to the right area, the right publisher, and lo and behold, it's as easy as anything because Vellum's done everything for you. If you want to use Vellum and you only have a PC, not a Mac computer, then what you can do is use Mac in the cloud, but that does cost money as well.
Okay, great. Daniel's asking a question about securing a book idea. Do we need to secure our book idea just to avoid anybody else is taking the idea and bringing out the book earlier?
No, not in the slightest. The reason for that is because there's only actually 6 books ever been written, and they were written right at the beginning of time, and then we've all been copying them ever since. Even Harry Potter was based on Greek myth, so you're writing it your way. I wrote a book called Marketing Matters. I've got friends that have got books out called How to Market Your Books. There's only so many ideas. So just write it in your own way. You can't copyright a title, but I don't tend to use a title that anybody else has got. You can't copyright a title. So if you bring a series of books out and somebody wants to use the title, then they can do. What you can't do is bring your books out with the name Harry Potter in it, whether you want to or not, because the name Harry Potter is trademarked. Yeah. So there's a difference between trademarks and copyright, and you can't copyright a title.
Great. So Denise was asking, what was the other apps or platforms which are for PC?
Right. Okay. One that you can use is with Reedsy. It's REEDSY. If you just type in Reedsy, you'll go to their website and they've got one online. And the other one is with Ingramspark, but you have to sign into Ingramspark. The one thing I will say with Ingramspark, I think you can use that bit of it for free, but with Ingramspark, every time you upload or change a file, it costs you $49. If you're a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors, you get it for nothing, because it's just part of you get a code. It's part of your Alliance. I'm not trying to ask you to join the Alliance of Independent Authors. I have nothing to do with them, but I'm just saying I don't pay because I'm a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors.
Fabulous. I think we are pretty much through with all the questions. Yay, amazing. Anyone else has anything striking? Maybe just unmute yourself and spring it in here. Okay. Can we see in the chat how many of you are now either already working on a book, or you're now, based on this amazing session with Wendy, you're committed to finally get your book going? Yes, can you put in the chat? It's me. Yeah, Danya saying I was inspired. Fabulous. Excellent. Love that. I was definitely inspired. Every time we are spending time together, Wendy, I pick up some great hints and tips. Great. Georgia, almost done. Perfect. I love that. Well, Georgia is amazing. You just had your second baby, which seemed to have just give you a little extra time to grow your business and to write your book. That's amazing, right?
Absolutely.
If you can do it, all of us can, right? It's amazing. Great. Okay. Thank you, Wendy, for your great ideas from Danya and Eric. Inspired. Perfect. Violetta, thank you. Okay, great. And Wendy, thank you. Everyone is thanking you. So I hope that you're all inspired again, as Wendy and I believe everyone has a book inside of us. Okay. And you know what, Wendy, right? I mean, the first one is probably the hardest to write. Yes?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
You know what? It's really so funny. And, let me tell you also a little bit of an inspiring story on my side. The last book that I co-authored, I just wrote a chapter within just a few hours, right? Actually, after having a little bit of a Glühwein party on my terrace. And guess what? 2 weeks later, that was published and it became a bestseller as well, which was amazing, right?
If it worked for Hemingway, it works for you. As far as I can tell, he was permanently pickled when he wrote. So,
right.
When permanently pickled means he was always drunk, by the way. I don't know if people know what these sayings mean, but he drank a lot and he managed to write some very successful books. So
I know. Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Wendy, and thank you all. Okay. We see Vivi as well. Okay. A few latecomers, but again, this is recorded, so all of you can actually listen to it again and catch up afterwards, which is amazing. So thank you, Wendy, for being with us, for enlightening us, inspiring us, and challenging all of us to get our first or next book written, published, marketed. And as you said, the perfect time is now. So thank you, and all of you, thank you for being here, for creating your magic, and just again, don't get scared by the thought of getting your thoughts on paper or anything. Just start writing, because when you can speak, and all of you are speakers, when you can speak, you can write. Okay, thank you, Wendy, for being here. We're all going to make you proud, okay? All of you, if Wendy is also part of our Heart-Powered Global Nation, right, community. So all of you that are not part of that yet, let me quickly put the link in here as well, so that all of you can check this out and join us there, because again, it's a great community to connect with other speakers and entrepreneurs from all over the globe. So you can connect there with us. Wendy is a member there, and you can keep connecting with her in that space.
And if anybody wants to contact me, they can do
Yeah.
it through my website, which is wendyhjones.com. And if you go to the writing and marketing page, you'll get a free, oh, I've done it just to Monique. It's wendyhjones.com anyway. It's not exactly difficult.
I can share that with everyone.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
And you know, you can get in touch through there, and you can also download a free writing and marketing book. It's not a long book, but it will get you started.
Exactly. Great. Thank you.
Download it. Ignore the front page. That's a murder mystery. Go to the writing and marketing page, and then you'll get the right book.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll end up with a book called D.I. Shona McKenzie's Guide to Killing Your Boss. It's got nothing about writing in it.
Great. Okay, Wendy, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you all for being with us. And we hope we could inspire you once again. As you know, every month we have an incredible guest with us. So I hope that you're going to take up the challenge and let us know in the Hard Power Global Nation, you know, once you start writing your book, we're going to support you. Once you start marketing your book, we're going to support you, right? So connect with us there and connect with Wendy if you have any more questions as well directly. Great. Thank you all. Have a fabulous month, and we'll be in touch. All the best.